Well, it's time to take a look at the goals. The goals that have made the difference over the past few stages of this competition. So there it is. This is how it's been looking like. Well, it was Germany going up against Denmark, and then Germany went through. Spain hitting a couple of goals past Georgia and making it through to set up that date with Germany. Now with Portugal as well, they beat Slovenia to make it to the next stage. France defeating Belgium. Belgium, who haven't really come to the party this term. Okay, let's also take a look at how, the Netherlands got past Romania. Romania not being the best in terms of, bringing out their form and showing it. And it is interesting how Romania posted a very big message in their dressing room when they left it, a very big message of goodwill to the German local organizing committee for giving them a fabulous experience. It's amazing. Not everybody thinks about all of these things, especially when you have to exit the competition in such disappointment.
Yeah. I don't know if it was meant to be sarcastic because they had complained about some chants in the stadium early in the competition. So I don't know, maybe it was resolved and they were showing their appreciation. Maybe it was also a sarcastic dig at them. But all the same, I think look, some of these things, I don't necessarily like it when we mix politics with football. The organizers should do it better. They shouldn't have happened in the first place. That's the thing. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, and they should have clamped down on it as ASAP. But yeah, that is done. Romania are out, so we focus on the teams that are in the competition.
But it's been an interesting competition if you think of some of the side issues that may not have received some of the spotlight. For example, if you look at the Germany situation and the so-called reports of malaria and how this is supposed to be the host country, this is supposed to be their national team, but where they are camping is where they reportedly have malaria. And it's all because they say that some of the materials that they use in constructing that Games Village sort of, or the camping base, were sort of old Bavarian materials or logs that essentially attracts mosquitoes and all of that. But for me, the real story was where there was a mix of marketing and culture. And it had to be with the decision to not allow the English to have a certain access to alcohol and only limit them to what they could take. And I was looking back on the announcements last week when UEFA said that now they can gobble up as much as they can. And I was wondering, was that a political ploy or a marketing tool just to ensure that these people drink as much as possible? Because if you are setting caps on how much someone can take in alcohol, the presumption is that they would have to drink more of that, right? They would have to buy more of the minimum just to get drunk or just to get tipsy and all of that. Because if the idea is that you don't want them to drink at all, then you place a ban on drinking. You don't say that you can only a certain threshold can be sold to you. But all in all, I have enjoyed it. I have liked how they've handled some of these issues. The issue of the Spanish referees who made some dodgy calls quickly, addressed that matter, interrogated and realized that the application of the regulations were not consistent with the regulations, not in the letter of the law, not by the spirit of the law. And so they send them home. An Albanian player misbehaves. They quickly get that matter addressed. They investigate that matter again and look at the issues that happened. Although my main disagreement was the fact that this is an individual who had his family house bombed, right, by fans of the very people who are now taunting him. And there were specific references to that very incident. And that's where I felt there needed to be a human element in mitigating the determination of the sanctions that they felt that he deserved. But all in all, I think it's been a good tournament. We have not seen too many of the political issues take the center stage, especially considering the period around which the game is being organized.
Well, let's also quickly take a look at the goals I promised you, the very big moments that separated the boys from the men. Just trying to recollect who else has scored this Bellingham-like goal in recent days. Gentlemen, we've had quite a bit. Before we go down to the conversation about these two gentlemen and what they are going up against later on, especially because of the history they have on the social end of things, which one for you, which of these goals for you, make the grade?
I have two picks.
Okay.
Nico Williams' goal and then Daniel Olmo's goal.
Okay, so for me, I normally would want to look at the degree of difficulty, the technique, you know, and, you know, probably power or execution, eventual execution.
So for Nico, the long ball over the top, he controls, he runs at his marker, shifts past the marker, but he still has a lot of work to do. Recomposes himself and then fires it into the roof.
And then he sort of dummies with his facial expression and with the direction of his eyes, because the goalkeeper expected him to pass the ball. And then but that was a very smart one as well.
And for me, Danny almost go, when you talk about technique and composure, that for me is on top. That touch, there's that first touch that did everything for him. Ball comes in, the defenders are all coming onto his right foot. He takes one touch, he shifts onto his left foot, and then it's a cool finish into the back of the net. He's a brilliant, brilliant player, and I think those goals stand out for me. The rest, we've seen a lot of goals like that. Even Jude Bellingham's goal, yes, it was good, but we've seen thousands of goals like that.
That obviously wasn't a Portuguese goal, so I know you.
We're better one as well.
Victor?
For me, the Nico Williams goal was brilliant. Danny has said much about it. I think the parts that he probably didn't talk about was where he sends the ball, right? Beyond the fact that he deceived the keeper with his eyes, he placed it in the one area where the keeper could not reach with his arm, because either side of him, and the sort of form that Mamadash really is in, he probably gets a hand to it, but it was right on top of his head, and there was no way he was going to get that. The other goal of the tournament for me was Vargas' goal against Italy. Switzerland's first goal was, the first touch was ridiculously good because it just set the ball up perfectly for him. And then again, where he sends the shot. So when we're talking about the best goalkeepers in this competition, it's been Mamadash and then Gigi Donnarumma. But he sent the shot in the one area where Donnarumma was helpless. He could only attempt to save it with his feet because due to his size, he cannot get down quickly enough or in time to make any meaningful contact with the ball. So when shots go low, he will be tempted and he will be forced to attempt to make contact with his feet and then save it. But this was so good that even though he got something on it, in the end, it was simply not enough. And those, for me, are the two goals of the tournament.
Well. Interesting picks there. Well, we'll get to this one in a little bit, but which of them would you say was the easiest? I mean, you've been talking about which is the easiest as well.
The goals?
In terms of execution, yeah.
Look, we've been watching football for a long time. There are some goals that are standard, like long-range shots, yes, they stand out. Bicycle kicks, they stand out. But my point, we've seen them over and over and over again. Like Switzerland's second goal against Italy, the finesse shot. Yes, it's nice to see, but...
but with the bicycle kicks, you have varied situations where sometimes...
See, it's often a matter of instincts.
Look, the way his body was positioned, that was the only way he could have hit the ball. So it was literally... Like when you go back to, you remember Rooney's bicycle kick against Man City? Yeah. Cross was coming in, he had positioned himself for a header, then he was deflected and he needed to readjust his body before. So that will give him an extra point. But for Bellingham's zone, it was literally coming on his back. He just had to turn. Good execution again. There's a reason why he's part of the best goals of the round. But for me, I've seen it a number of times. The two goals that, it's not every player that can do what Nico Williams did in that situation. And we know, because there are so many wingers who can dribble, but after they dribble, what do they do with the ball? That's the problem. And these are the small things that distinguish players like that. Danny almost touched also. In that situation, most people he's right-footed. Somebody will allow the ball to pass his right foot before he takes the shot. But that one touch takes the defenders out of the equation. And his composure, these are the little skills that I look out for. And I think they were impressive.
Which of them were,
Again, the easiest
came as regular, everyday stuff?
It would be Bellingham's, because he didn't have to... when you're talking about the degree of difficulty, it's how they maneuver the space around them and sometimes how they have to adjust their body, right? Just to either create space, create separation between themselves and the defender, or get the ball as further away from the opponent and set it up nicely for the effort. He wasn't required to do any of those. This was purely instinctive, and it was the only way to make any significant contact for the ball, and then he chose it.
Well, talk about degree of difficulty. Only yesterday I was having a chat with a few friends about Asamoah Gyan's second goal against the United States at the FIFA World Cup, and how the ball came from behind him. He got pushed, and yet he was able to get his left foot
That was
to
a
it.
one thing that I think over the years has not been highlighted enough about that goal was how the ball kept bouncing.
Yeah.
And each time Jan had to wait for the perfect height and for him to then be able to make the contact. Because the players know at what points you will not be able to make the right amount of contact, especially if you want to go for power. So he essentially, so if you watch the video, you realize that he makes the effort to try to shoot and then realize that the ball has too much elevation than necessary or than he would want to. And so he allows the ball to bounce one more time before he shoots. And that's just an artist at work. He knows that these micro details all count and he waited for the perfect opportunity.
Trust the pundits. They analyze it so well, but one of these days we're going to put all of them on the pitch to try to relive the moments. You know, there are some shows by our colleagues in Europe and the Americas who try to, you know, mimic these days and these big days to recreate the moments. And it's such a difficult job sometimes, isn't it? Well, these are the two gentlemen. There are earlier pictures of him as a little boy looking up to this man. And now they have to go up against each other for something very, very priceless.
Look, it's a big game. Two of my faves, obviously. The one on the right, when he eventually retires, the one on the left is my new fave. So it's two of my guys who are facing each other. And look, it's going to be an extremely difficult game. If you look at France, their form throughout the competition, they've not been the most exciting offensive team. But defensively, they've not been put under any pressure. They've been such a compact unit at the back. And most people, you don't even see the impact of individual defenders and the defensive component of the team because they've just been so relaxed as a team. They've stopped opposition from breaching them. And there's a reason why they have the joint best defense in the competition. It's offensively, that's where their problem is. Portugal, on the other hand, are creating so many chances. Joint second for chances created, joint third for chances missed, big chances missed. That's where the problem is. The fact that they are creating, but there's an inability to put the ball in the back of the net. But when you analyze those two situations, especially from the Portuguese point of view, the fact that the team is creating opportunities, but they can't score, and you ask yourself a question, who is probably the best candidate to put the ball in the back of the net is the guy on the right. So you can just tell it's just a matter of time, and that will hit the back of the net. But for the French, look, they need to be a bit more magical in attack. Something needs to click. They've just not found that cohesion that we've seen this France team carry over the past 6-7 years, especially in the offense. And there's just something missing about it. But again, when you look at the guys in the team and the fact that they've played together for quite a while, you can also say that same thing. It's just a matter of time before it clicks. And this game could, I really believe that this game has the ingredients to be one of the matches of the competition. In terms of tactics of both managers and the players also. They both have big players, big characters on the pitch who can take responsibility. The last time they faced in the Euros, it was the last Euros in the group stages. It was a very interesting 2-2 draw, end-to-end stuff, where the big players showed their class. Benzema scored 2, Ronaldo scored 2, Kante was brilliant. Look, it was that sort of game that you would not want to miss. And I think we're going to have a similar one when the two teams meet again in the quarterfinals.
Well, what for you, Victor, will be the key things to look out for in this particular game?
The two attacks and Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo first because Portugal have not prepared for a future without him. Portugal have not learned to live without him, even when they had the opportunity in 2022 at the World Cup. And I think that they had an opportunity and they missed it. When Gonzalo Ramos scored that hat-trick at the World Cup against Switzerland, we all saw on TV how the fans were still clamoring for Ronaldo, and they kept chanting his name until Ronaldo was introduced at the end of that game. What the manager and the entire team failed to do and have failed to do since that time was to decouple the sentiments from the reality of the team and the needs of the team. And the reality was that at the time, Ronaldo was 37. He is getting closer to retirement. You don't wait for him to retire before you start making plans of how this team would play. In the years that have followed, they have had goal scorers, but this is still a team that has been built to rely on Ronaldo's brilliance for them. And that's why in this tournament, when he's not scored, the team has struggled to score goals. In the years that have followed, if you look at even in qualifying, apart from Gonzalo Ramos, and the curious thing is that I was thinking that he would have a more prominent role in the national team so that he grows and eventually learns from Ronaldo to when Ronaldo, or at this tournament, gets the first feel of being the guy that the team is looking at. So Ronaldo becomes the insurance policy and not the other way around. And he's done fairly well because in the last 2 seasons, he scored a combined 41 goals. That's an average of 20 goals per season, right? But that has not been enough to make him the focal point of the team. And his national team form has also suffered. So if you look at the qualifying for the Euros, the closest player after Ronaldo to score was Bruno Fernandes, who scored 6 goals. Ronaldo scored 10. I think 5 of those came against Liechtenstein and then Luxembourg. So there's even So there's even something to be said about the quality of opposition that those goals came against. So essentially, there's a team that has not been prepared to play without Ronaldo, but it's been ultra reliant on Cristiano Ronaldo. That's why if you take away Ronaldo's efforts on goal and the chances that he's missed, the numbers don't even look impressive. They are not scoring goals. And some of these chances are falling to him. So if you look at, he's taken 20 shots, he's not scored. He's underperforming his XG by 3 because he's had 3 clear-cut chances that should have scored. I think two of those came in the game against Slovenia. The 1v1 that Oblak saved, and then the penalty that he missed. So whether people like it or not, Ronaldo is what the team is used to. He is the outlet for goals. He is the guy the team relies on. And tomorrow, he has to step it up because this is how things have been for a long time. And things have got to change for Ronaldo himself in this tournament. He needs to step up and then start delivering the goals. Otherwise, they're heading out because without him, there is nobody in the team who in the past years has had that goal-scoring responsibility and has even delivered. For France, for me, I think it's what they do at the other end of the pitch more than even at the back because they've got the best defense in the competition. Of the teams remaining in the competition, they've only allowed an XG of 2.57. 2.57. If you broaden the scope and bring in all 24 teams who have participated in the competition, still, the only team with a better defense, I think Slovenia or Slovakia, who had XG of marginally less than France. So defensively, they are solid. And every time you watch the French team, and for everything that we say about how they don't play on the front foot enough, given the attacking quality, and how they are at best functional, they never look vulnerable. You don't watch the French team and think they're in danger of conceding. This is a team that is very solid, built on sound principles of balance. And look, some of us may not like the fact that they are playing the way they play, but it gets results. I have sometimes said that, look, the manager coaches this team, is unable to coach this team beyond his own insecurities, but that's his philosophy. And guess what? It works. It gets him to a minimum of semis of major competitions. France were in chaos before he took over the team. But since then, he's been to 2 World Cup finals. He's delivered 1 of them. He's been to 1 European Championship final in 2016. And in this competition, they are firm favorites for it. The only thing that needs to change is how they perform in front of goal. Because in the last match that they played, they had 19 shots on goal. And only 1, which was a deflected effort, ended up in the back of the net. And so that bit has got to improve. And that's why, for everyone who's going to watch France tomorrow, forget about the aesthetics. Forget about nice football and all of that. Because for them, the marking scheme is different. They've proven to us that irrespective of what our expectations are, the manager says, I understand these, but this is my way, and this is what delivers results for me.
Wow, exactly. Well, we'll be sticking to this a little more, and then after that, we'll also take a close look at the other fixture, who goes home and who goes out. This, sure, is a very, very difficult place, a very, very difficult determination to make, considering the 2 sides and the 2 interesting stories. He's won it before, he hasn't won it before. And for him, I mean, his tenure as captain has to produce something for the people because they're used to winning World Cups, the last one in 2018.
They are actually not used to winning the World Cups. I think only won it twice.
They've won it twice, but
98.
The French, I mean, between 98 and now, you could say they're used to winning the trophy. I mean, there's so many countries that have...
Fair enough, but I think that for this generation, they have a royal pass. They could lose to Portugal and it will not be the end of the world. I think that we will not be as critical of them because they have exceeded expectations. They've delivered the World Cup, and there's nothing bigger than that. The only thing for me is how to sustain this period of greatness that they have attained, right? Because if you look through international football, most teams often have a cycle of between 3 to 5 years, and then they go through transitions, and the transition becomes an excuse for them to drop performance levels. But if you look at France, since 2016, it's been top-level performances as far as results are concerned, one after the other. And look, yes, the expectations are high. I expect Mbappe to do better than he's done in the competition so far. I expect Aurelio Tchouameni, even Antoine Griezmann, and all of these guys to do better than they have. But I very much appreciate how far they have come and what they have delivered. And my view of them will not be colored by what they do in this.
Look, I don't think they've exceeded expectations. I think when you look at
when you say they, what do you mean?
France. When you look at the star quality that they have in their team all through, from goalkeepers to attack, I think they've done what has been expected of them. They've not exceeded. 2016, they were supposed to win that Euros against Portugal. That was a bit let down for them. In 2018, when you look at the quality that they had in their team, building on from what they did in 2016, we weren't surprised they won the World Cup. 2020 was another big letdown in the Euros when they failed to go past Switzerland, because that team, especially on the back of the fact that Benzema had joined an already stacked France team, they blew everybody apart in the group stages only to get kicked out on penalties in the round of 16. It was a big letdown. Then they go to the World Cup, make a final, showing everybody that the guys who are understudies to some of the big guns in there, that was the Pogba, the Kantés, were capable of going all the way. And they are here. I think this is just a build-on. France have had an unending supply of quality, and you can match them up to any of the top teams in the world. So I think that they are more under pressure to deliver, especially because of the achievements they've made in the past, what the French populace are used to at this. There's a certain standard that has been drawn. And when you look at the guys who have taken over Tchouameni, Camavinga, these guys they are Champions League winners. Mbappe is probably the best player in terms of raw ability in the world as it stands. So I don't think if they lose against Portugal, it's a huge letdown. They are the favorites to win this game. And even when you even read the match reports and comments coming from the French public or French portals in their games in this competition, they are not too happy with the performance because there's a standard that they expect this team to live up to. Look, they have Dembele, they have quality all around. There's really no reason why these guys shouldn't be rubbing shoulders with the best. And that's obviously, if you go into this game and against Portugal, who look very beatable, and you fail to win, I think that would be a problem. But quickly on the Portuguese situation, look, when you go around international football over the past 10, 15, 20 years, international football can't be judged on the same parameters as club football. International football has very little margin for risk. So you rely on players who are proven rather than players that you hope to do well. Goncalo Ramos hasn't done enough to rub shoulders with Ronaldo. Yes, he did well. He had, one good game at the World Cup. Nobody's talking about the game against Morocco where he was terribly poor. We conveniently overlooked that. Nobody's talking about his season with PSG, where he was terribly poor. Even when he was given opportunities, it's not about the fact that the system didn't fit it. He was just purely missing opportunities. Had one of the worst XG conversion rates in the season, and that was poor. So if you want to get into the team ahead of somebody who is consistently shown that he's the best at a certain scale, then you also need to compete at a level. When Pogba and Kanté were playing in France, nobody spoke about how good Camavinga and Tchouameni were. It is the fact that are you better than them as it stands? If you are not, then you can't play. It's not about us planning for the future. We can't plan for the future and overlook what is happening in the present. When you look at, nobody's talking about Antonio Silva sitting on the bench for Pepe to play because Pepe is better than him. It doesn't matter if Pepe is 41 or 45. Pepe is better than him. And once he's better than him, he's going to play. You have to prove that you are better than whoever you want to take over, not by just presenting yourself and saying you are younger and because you have potential and by that fact you should play. Camavinga is still sitting on the bench, Rabiot is playing. Because when it comes to France, the sort of performances that Rabiot puts up, there's no reason why Deschamps should just allow Camavinga to play because he's younger. No, you have to prove that you are better when you are given the opportunities. And unfortunately for some of these young guys, they've not done it. When they do, history has proven that, and history has shown us that when you do, you'll be given your opportunity. It's not just one game scoring a hat-trick. Ronaldo has scored thousands of hat-tricks. So one hat-trick is not going to get you in ahead of Ronaldo.
All right, so more of that to come right here on Euros Today. Thank you very much for staying with us. Would like to say a very big thank you to Heritage Christian College and NASCO. Well, more of the conversations when we return from this round of commercials. Well, let's bring the man in. I'm talking about the man who comes in at this time during the show to put some philosophy to our thoughts and also, remind us of a few figures and facts. Karim, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Nats. Thank you for welcoming me.
Sounds like a politician.
A lot of...
Yes, I like this. Yes.
It sounds like a politician.
Yeah,
You see, there's some very good gesture now.
Okay.
Daniel Koranteng has shaken my hand.
He has, okay, yes. He has given you a handshake. And,
I hope this doesn't compromise you.
No.
Not today, not tomorrow.
Yes.
You.
So at least now you feel safer?
Yes. The Thursday they will come, but... You see, Nats.
Yeah, talk to me.
People who start things and don't finish them, those are signs that they want to become poor. Me, I don't want to become poor.
Mm-hmm.
I started something on Tuesday. I want to finish it.
Okay.
Can you remember what I started on?
Who has started something and is not finishing at the Euros?
Myself, I started something on Tuesday.
Okay.
I want to finish it today on Thursday.
Okay.
Yes, I don't want to become poor. I want to become a rich man.
Remind us of it.
Before that, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Who said that?
Where are you rushing to?
Why the rush?
Huh?
Why the rush? Answer him.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation.
Okay.
On Tuesday, we saw something a lot of us have not seen in a long time, especially after Ronaldo left Man United. The kind of desperation that was in him to score against Slovenia was visible on his face throughout the game. To the extent that when he missed one of those shots, you could see that it's like he was screaming. He wanted to squeeze the foot and bring it together.
Yeah.
So after the game, he did something like he was smiling when he was doing the post-match interview. But it was just a confirmation that the desperation in him, a confirmation of the desperation in him during the game. In that...
Look at this.
Allow the man to flow. What is he?
People try, so you can't do your show without talking about him.
Daniel Koranteng.
You talk.
But
why are you trying to tell him what to do?
Put him here on the screen. You've spoken
The
about
guy
you
started on Tuesday, conveniently skipped it on Wednesday when I was around, and has come back here to continue.
so we are putting
and he's talking about how, because you are in his head and you know he's desperate. And somebody's smiling and said he's happy his team has won, but he's saying it's desperation.
Danny K, why didn't you also skip when you put him here?
Wait.
No, I don't get it.
Koranteng.
If I'm squeezing my face right now, is it Karim who will tell me what I'm thinking about?
But you saw two people that you spoke about Ronaldo.
Which two people? What?
Mbappe and Ronaldo.
No. There's something at the top there.
I thought you shake my hand.
Okay, you continue.
Okay, you wait. Let me finish what I want to do. Okay. I beg you wait. Let me finish. If I finish, then you continue.
Yeah.
These are 20 of the shots. I brought this thing on Tuesday, but there are some few issues I want to bring on here.
All right.
These are the 20 shots Ronaldo have taken at the Euros. 8 of them came against Slovenia. I was saying it that maybe with his age, some of these areas that he's shooting and how good the goalkeepers have proven to be at this tournament, maybe he should have just stayed back in the box. We know how good he is with his head and wait for those crosses. And a lot of them are really coming in. Portugal created a lot against Slovenia. And every one of the Portuguese players were looking for Ronaldo because he's a star. They trust and know what he can do. When he didn't score, we saw what happened. They had to settle the game on penalties, and he needed those teammates to show up for him, and they did that. In that particular game, 4 of the 8 shots he attempted in that game were free kicks. Since 1994, there's only one player who has attempted more free kicks in a game, 5. That is George something. I don't know how they pronounce it. George Hardy.
Georgie Hadji.
Georgie Hadji.
Former captain of Romania.
Yes.
Yes, he wore the
So,
number 10 jersey.
You were a Barca fan.
Yes, he's the other player who attempted more free kicks at a major tournament since 1994.
He's a Romanian legend.
Yes. And in that game, Ronaldo didn't score. These are the free kicks. If there are no... These are the free kicks. I want to look at the free kick graphic. Let's move it on. The free kick graphic of Ronaldo's entire career. I showed it that... Can I move it on to the free kick graphic?
Bernard, please move it on to the free kick graphic.
I showed the free kick graphic the last time. They were a total of 60 at major international tournaments. That is the Euros and at the World Cup. 60 of them, one ended up at the back of the net. If they're not going into the back of the net, where are they going into?
The sky.
Rosie inside the stand.
Yes. But this is generally an outlook of the shots players have taken at this tournament. Ronaldo, 20, 0% conversion rate, 0 goals. He's not just taking more shots than players. This is Scotland.
No, he's taking more shots than the whole Scotland team.
So he's not taking shots, not more than just players, but also an entire national team that has played 3 games at the Euros. Ronaldo has played 1 more game, so there's a chance that he could do more. Let's move it to the free kick graphics. That is where the interest is. These are the 60 free kicks he has taken. So far away from close to the box. Maybe that is why he's not scoring. If they are not going into the net.
Before you go on, guys, you do remember when we covered the FIFA World Cup, and a lot of the analysis that came up also hovered around the goalkeepers and a lot of preparation in the dressing room with the likely directions that players would want to play their penalties or play their set pieces. And who less a player but, Ronaldo, because he's a legend, he's known to convert those kicks and, and convert them in style. So there probably is a possibility. I wouldn't boast of knowing that there's been a lot of work done by all of these technical teams to know the directions of all of these free kicks.
If there's one player who will not suffer to this idea that he may be found out at set pieces, I think it will be Ronaldo, because he's very unorthodox in terms of the technique that he kicks the ball with. No matter how many
sometimes he'll dig the bottom of the ball. Exactly. The ball,
no matter how many
direction.
No matter how many clips of Ronaldo you watch, you won't be able to accurately predict which direction.
But you can at least have a fair idea,
because
right?
even when you have a fair idea, the knuckleball technique that Ronaldo, Juninho Pernambucano, Gareth Bale and co. employ gives the ball an awkward spin mid-flight, right? So right at the last minute, it can dip. So if there is anyone that if you do that about Ronaldo, you are wasting your time, because he's unpredictable in the manner in which he takes it. And even, as I've explained, how the trajectory of the ball itself is very difficult to track.
Because sometimes you also need to calculate wind and, the incidence of wind in the
you
stadium.
Can't prepare for wind.
How it can...
you can't prepare for wind then.
Maybe we should start bringing the meteo people into the dressing room to show us. Yeah, because it can help.
Oh, wow. So Opta can do all this.
So,
this is so beautiful.
What I was saying is that just before I come to this, I mentioned that Ronaldo has taken 20 free kicks at this tournament and it's not over.
20 shots.
20 shots at this tournament and it's not over yet. If you are looking at it since 1966, only 11 players took more shots at major tournaments and have not scored. Can you guess the one at the top of it?
Tell me about it.
The mighty Lionel Messi.
Great.
Which tournament? 2010.
2010 World Cup. But we didn't draw graphics and discuss it like that.
Oh, can you stop and let me
in fact, he won the Ballon that year. Deservedly won the Ballon that year.
Yeah. Masa, calm down.
But it's true. It's true.
I was asking the question, where were the free kicks going if they are not going into the net? These are those that we've seen outside of on target. 20 of them. So it means that if Ronaldo is taking a free kick at a major tournament, there's 33% chance that it will go off target.
But Karim,
I should beg, let me finish before they'll tell me.
How did the free kick end up here? And
What of this?
No, I presume these ones would have been blocked by the
Yes,
wall.
but this one is going to corner. That's why there's...
All right, guys. All right, Karim, this is very interesting. I would want us to continue this tomorrow.
Yeah, we have to.
There is.
We have to because
Yes.
we need serious education.
There's
And
a
I'm
Karim
glad-
segment. What?
Yeah, I'm glad. No, we'll deduct it from his talk time tomorrow.
No, but we need education on
Yeah.
this
Yes.
because
I mean,
this is frankly embarrassing.
Okay, so we're making this like, guys, we're making this a semblance of the Formula One, Grand Prix where, we deduct from the drivers.
No, but this is interesting. If we play back the tape,
Where you did deduct the time? Check time for me.
oh, that's cool.
The timer is on.
that I was driving at something. I needed to finish it before we can
he's not
make
good
a
at free
conclusion. Can I go on or we are not?
Well,
You have
we
30
ran out of
seconds.
time. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to continue this tomorrow. We're going to bring this back.
Yes.
And we're going to do more analysis. This is very, very interesting because you see, all of this comes to play a very big role in how the game is going to go against France. And like they always say, this would have been a perfect final fixture. Unfortunately, we're having to see it at the quarterfinal stage. So, guys, thank you so much. Danny K, I'm also greeting you.
He greeted me, but still he chose violence.
So, guys, we're going to catch you tomorrow. And, of course, you'd have to listen up because we'll be giving away yet another prize. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day.